let's get nerdy about printing for a sec. I don't know if everyone's going to start to get ads for this, but I have been getting ads from Xtool. Xtool is like this startup company. They've made like laser engravers over the past that have like really blown up, or like 3D printers. And I've been getting ads about this consumer driven DTF printer that is like $5,000 or $6,000. Currently on Kickstarter, it's got $4 million raised by Xtool. And it's kind of scary because Xtool has a reputation, kind of like Cricut, of making some really beautiful consumer-based products. And I've always said, like, when Cricut comes out with a DTF, like, we probably need to watch out. Like, that's not going to be a fun day. And sure enough, here it is. Xtool's coming out with it. And they'll even say, like, similar print heads, this price, real actual support. And, I just wanted to put this out there and just get your initial feedback or feelings from seeing this.
And describe it for the audio listeners. I'm playing the video, but they make it look super simple to unpack and set this thing up. But it's go through the setup of like, what are we looking at?
So it's about the size of like a small little fridge, a mini fridge, if you will. It's got a 12-inch DTF printer on it. You load all the inks in there, and then it's got a shaker dryer that goes down. So it's a very small footprint. Probably no different than the size of like a 36-inch plotter, if you will. And it's like, anyone can buy this thing and start printing DTF prints. And I think in the last 5 years, the barrier to entry to DTF was super low, but the technology was not there. And there's a lot of overhead and support and issues and Chinese machines and this and that. And so like now kind of taking this tech approach to it.
How much is it?
I think it's like $6,000, I want to say. Still not cheap by any means, but it's almost like they're telling all the Cricut moms and dads, we're going to upgrade you now to DTF. And I wonder what happens when this machine is just in a retail store, or it's just everywhere, right? What do you all think about it?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until you sent me that link, and it's like a consumer. I don't even know if it's prosumer. What you would call it? It's like a home-based, like a Cricut machine, because I can't imagine having it at your shop, like in like a production sort of volume environment, and also, $6,000. I'm still thinking if I'm out of my house, why would I invest that when I can just order DTF and I get it in 2 days? I know you're paying more, but is it reliable? All these things I start to question. I saw that it makes screens, like they ship you, like you can actually screen print too. It's not just DTF. And so they ship you a mesh, not on a frame, but they ship you mesh that has emulsion on it. And then it laser engraves somehow, your stencil. And then you clip that into a frame and you start printing. And I was just thinking, oh gosh, can you imagine the people? It's almost like, are you telling them the full story? Because you have to clean this up. Where are you going to do that at? It's screen printing is messy, and I don't know if people really know what they're getting into when they invest in this machine. I think it's complicated.
Bruce,
what if that machine was $500?
Oof,
because
that's crazy cheap.
This is V1. This is V1 of this edition, which it doesn't look like an intro. Like it's not like priced to be necessarily getting started. This is sort of like maybe tier 2, but this is V1, and that the next version, is going to come out 30% cheaper, or there will be other competitors that do something very similar that compete at a lower price.
So my thoughts are like, what happens when the schools just have these in their, the schools just buy these, right? Or, they're so accessible, right? Like, burning a screen and printing shirts is very difficult. And if anyone wants to start that and start their own business, we're like, good luck. You're going to have so much fun, right? But with something that's manufacturing is getting closer and closer to the consumer to make just-in-time manufacturing and made-to-order products, which I think is where our industry is going. And so it's a little scary. Maybe there's just gonna be heat presses everywhere. Who knows?
I think the one thing to note is that this is also a Chinese company. I think we had a lot of connotations of, oh, wow, it's a Chinese company, probably doesn't work that great or probably doesn't look that great or whatever. But what I will say is that the innovation is moving a lot quicker than that now. Like, it's a beautiful looking product. Obviously, you haven't looked at instructions or setup or we just looked at an Instagram reel, but like super well designed. They've got clearly other products here. They've also got, I'm looking on LinkedIn, they've got some sort of US support based team. So they're leaning in that direction as well, which is defeating the well, you can't get support, it's over there, you're gonna have to talk to someone on WhatsApp. And it's the next evolution. And so maybe the question is less of how it affects consumers and how it actually affects manufacturers. Because if you start to have people that can manufacture quicker and at a lower cost than what US companies or Portugal companies or, other press manufacturing businesses or in Israel, then competition gets, you could have 50 of these companies that spring up, appear by next year. And you already see it, right, at the trade shows. So, why couldn't they enter some of the more, you talk about screen printing or, right, enterprise level discussion?
Yeah. Stephen, you have firsthand experience with DTF machines and the challenge of making sure they're running. And so, I can't imagine it's much different with this machine. And so, maybe it fills I don't know what your minimum is, but our minimum order here is 25 shirts, and so maybe it fills that market and it doesn't, we wouldn't care, because I can't imagine doing 150 shirts, for example, off that machine. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
But Bruce, if it was priced better, I'll use your wife's brand, Buhai. She's going to crafters and markets and stuff like that, and you're ordering transfers and heat pressing. If her sales were good enough, would you be like, hey, we'll just buy one of these and put it?
It would definitely be a consideration. And I think for her, it would definitely be a consideration, especially as she doesn't want to stock stuff. So she's always constantly pushing stuff and shipping and fulfilling items on demand versus buying it all at once. But again, she's just getting started. And
could live printing have 5 of them at a concert and they're just putting out transfers and just printing what they need?
That's what the Printfuls of the world are doing, right? They're slurping up an incredible amount of volume on not just little Etsy stores. I think they're working with some significant players now that they're handling fulfillment of complex things now. From a retail perspective, yeah, that's where I do think it's interesting. But again, I actually think the impact will be more significant to press manufacturers if they continue to push up market. Now, they want to go for the more, I will call B2C market, because it's so much bigger. The total addressable market size is so much larger. That's more attractive. They can put more dollars into marketing. They can put more dollars into R&D. But again, you got to imagine someone says, well, hey, wow, looks like there's these other businesses like Shirkong, but they don't want to just spend the $5,000. They want to spend $50,000. Maybe we should start making this, right? And it'll just be fascinating in a couple of years if, you're still plugging and chugging, Andy, on this thing. If you're oh, there's this company like Xtools, they actually seems like a decent, I don't know, whatever automated piece of equipment you're looking at. Maybe I should consider that in the bucket, and it's just not the top 3-4.
The DTF world continues to fascinate us.